we'll drop them off, or, of course, on November the 5th is actually Election Day, so get out there and vote for Donald J. Trump, for Kerry Lake, and for all of our great candidates. But we've got, think about this, we're in a very, very good spot in Arizona, but I don't want us to get lazy, and I don't want us to rest on our laurels here, because right now, we've got a big, big advantage in the state of Arizona. But here's the question. Are we going to work our tails off over the next 3 days to build on that advantage, to bake as many votes as possible, and to make this thing too big to rig? That is the goal over the next 3 days. Because think about this, the stakes of this thing could not be higher. Arizona knows it better than almost any state in the union. There are 453,000 illegal immigrants in this state because Kamala Harris refuses to do her job. In the United States of America, there are 425,000 criminal illegal aliens, people who have committed murders, people who have committed assaults, people who have gone after our fellow citizens. I know we've got some United States Marines in the room, right? Right? We want to thank everybody, regardless of their branch of service, but the number of criminal migrants we have in this country, thanks to Kamala Harris's failed border policies, is more than twice the size of the United States Marine Corps. Now, Kamala Harris has rolled out the red carpet to every illegal alien. She's offered to give them free health care benefits. She's promised them to give them Social Security and Medicare, which would bankrupt those programs. Meanwhile, our guy is saying to the illegal aliens in this country, especially the criminal migrants, pack your bags, because in 3 months you're going back home. The cost of this border crisis to the state of Arizona is unbelievable. $1.4 billion that this state spends every single year to care for illegal immigration. What are we doing to the veterans? What are we doing for the veterans who are sleeping under park benches and sleeping all over our country, homeless, when we're spending $1.4 billion to look after people who don't have the legal right to be here? That's what Kamala Harris's policies are doing to this country. What about the fentanyl? The Mexican drug cartels are bringing in by the bushel. I was raised by somebody who struggled with addiction, and I'm proud of my mom. She's been clean and sober for 10 years, my friends, and that's an incredible grace that we've been given. But what happens to second chances when you allow the drug cartels to bring in fentanyl by the ton, which kill every man, woman, and child in the United States of America? How many of our citizens, how many of our families have been deprived of that second chance with their loved one because Kamala Harris would rather invite the Mexican drug cartels into our country than enforce the law against them? And here's my solemn promise, is that when Donald J. Trump is the president of the United States, we're going to go to war against the Mexican drug cartel, get that poison the hell out of our country, and return basic sanity to the people of Arizona. It's not just the fentanyl, it's the kids who are not getting a good education, because we've got thousands of people in Arizona schools, and a lot of them, let's be honest, are good people. I don't blame them. I blame Kamala Harris for letting the illegal immigration problem fester. But what does it do to the education of an American child when you drop thousands of kids into their school district who don't speak English? What does it do to our healthcare system here in Arizona when you let in hundreds of thousands of people who don't have the right to be here? We can be compassionate, my friends, and we ought to be compassionate. But the compassion for the Americans to start with the American people and the people who have the legal right to be here. Now, one of the biggest problems that comes from illegal immigration, and Kamala Harris doesn't like to talk about it, and neither, of course, does the corporate media who defends her at every step of the way. It is about the effect on housing. At every step of the way, it is about the effect on housing prices. I really believe that we ought to be fighting for the American dream of homeownership, especially for our young people in the state of Arizona. Think about this. 30, 40 years ago, I hear young people tell me this all the time, that 30 and 40 years ago, you can work a job, you could play by the rules, and you could afford to buy a home. And a lot of our young people feel like they're working hard, they're playing by the rules, but that American dream of homeownership is unattainable. Now, we got to do a lot to fix that. We've got to fix that. We've got to build more houses, first of all, which means stopping Kamala Harris's ridiculous regulations. We're going to lower the cost of energy to make it easier to build houses. That means drill, baby, drill, and stop the war on American energy. But let's be honest. It don't matter how many homes we build, if we have a president like Kamala Harris who gives American homes, if we have a president like Kamala Harris who gives American homes to illegal aliens instead of American citizens, we are never going to make the American dream of homeownership affordable. So yes, under Donald Trump's leadership, we're going to build more homes. Yes, under Donald Trump's leadership, we are going to make mortgage interest rates more affordable, but most importantly, we are going to fight to ensure that American homes go to American citizens, and that is how we're going to make American homeownership affordable again. And that brings me, of course, when we talk about this affordability crisis, it's not just homes, it's groceries, it's utilities, it's credit card delinquency rates in the state, in this country right now, have just gone north of 9%. You know what that means? That means 1 in 10 of our fellow citizens can't afford to pay the bills. 1 in about 11 auto loan repayments are in delinquency right now, which means that a lot of our fellow citizens can't afford to make their car payment. Donald Trump is going to usher in a golden age of peace and prosperity by fighting for some common sense economic principles that make the American dream for all of you and all of our fellow citizens who we love. We're going to make the American dream affordable again. And that, but it's not going to happen. We've got the best country in the world. We've got the best people. We've got the most incredible natural resources. But we're not going to make the American dream more affordable again by doing the same things that made it unaffordable in the first place. And that is what Kamala Harris is offering all of you. It's what she's offering the state of Arizona, is 4 more years of exactly the same policies that brought us to this situation in the first place. A vote for Kamala is a vote for 4 more years of sky-high inflation. It's a vote for 4 more years of unaffordable groceries and unaffordable housing. It's a vote for 4 more years of a wide-open southern border. It's a vote for 4 more years of the fentanyl flooding into our country. And I think the people of Arizona, in 3 days, we're going to send a message. We do not want 4 more years of Kamala Harris's broken policies. Our message to Kamala Harris is, you're fired. Go back to San Francisco, where you belong. We want prosperity for the American people. Now, I will say, there's an act of bipartisanship here. I know we have a lot of praying people in this audience. I am too. And, one of the things that we've got to do for Americans of faith, whether you're Christian, Jewish, anything, is we've got to make religious liberty great again in this country. We're going to give people the right to practice their faith as they see fit. But if you are the praying type, maybe spare a prayer for Governor Tim Walz, because I think he's got the toughest job in American politics. I really do. If you think about this, Governor Tim Walz, you wouldn't expect me to feel bad for him because he goes around the country lying about me and lying about President Trump. But let's be honest, he's got to lie about us because he doesn't have anything else to talk about. Because Governor Tim Walz, he can't say that Kamala Harris did anything to lower the price of groceries because, of course, under her policies, the price of groceries got way more expensive. He can't say Kamala Harris did anything to close down the border because, of course, for 4 years she did everything that she could to open the border. And the biggest challenge of all is that Tim Walz has got to pretend that Kamala Harris is competent enough to be the President of the United States. That is a tough job. Now, I know that a lot of you got tough jobs, but you've never had a day at work so bad where you've had to convince the American people that Kamala Harris is fit to be the President of the United States. That is tough work. I I saw Tim Walz's plane this morning in Las Vegas, Nevada, when we were flying from there to here, and I just thought to myself, man, he's got a tough job. He's got to go. I guess he's in Arizona, but somewhere else. He's not in the Phoenix area. I believe he's somewhere else. And I just thought to myself, I've got the easiest job in American politics. I get to go around and talk about the fact that when Donald J. Trump was president, inflation was at 1.5%, and our citizens could afford groceries. It's pretty good. I get to talk about the fact that when Donald J. Trump was president, take-home pay was rising faster than it had in 40 years in the United States of America. People were making more money and keeping more money. I get to talk about the fact that Donald Trump put in the biggest tax cut for working Americans that we've seen in this country in 40 years, and of course the economy grew afterwards. And I got to talk about the fact, and I get to talk about the fact that when Donald Trump was president, we created millions of high-paying, high-quality American jobs, and we did it in the private sector where most American prosperity actually lives. Now, here's the thing. Governor Walz's job got a little harder because it turns out yesterday that while Kamala Harris has been going around the country bragging about how good the economy is, it turns out that the American economy last month lost 28,000 private sector jobs. The American economy last month lost 46,000 American manufacturing jobs. Now, it's interesting though, if you read the jobs report, just the top line, it says the American economy gained 12,000 jobs. You know what that means? All government. We created more government jobs than we did lose private sector jobs. And that is, in some ways, the Kamala Harris economy in a nutshell. You're paying higher taxes. You're paying higher grocery prices. You're getting worse jobs with lower wages. But the government bureaucrats who work for Kamala Harris, they're doing just fine. Well, when Donald J. Trump is president, that is going to change. We're going to fire some bureaucrats and make sure we hire American workers at good wages. I will say one thing nice about Kamala Harris. You'll be surprised. Look, I said something nice about Tim Walz. I asked you to pray for him. And here I am. I'm going to say about Kamala Harris that every time she gives an interview, we gain about 100,000 votes. And I will say that for her. I called the president yesterday. I said, sir, here's our strategy for the last 3 days. You and I, let's just go play golf and let Kamala Harris go out there do interviews, and we'll win in a landslide. But unfortunately, Kamala Harris runs from the American media just as much as she runs from her own policies. So unfortunately, she's not going to help us out. But a couple weeks ago, she did us a big favor because she reminded the American people of the lie at the heart of her campaign. Remember, this is a person who's the sitting vice president, and she runs around the country pretending that she has nothing to do with the policies of the administration where she is the vice president. You'd almost believe that she's never met Joe Biden, even though she is his vice president. She's bragged about his policies for years, and she only changed her tune about a few months ago when she became the Democrat nominee for president. Now, here's the thing about Kamala. When she's got a teleprompter in front of her, she'll make all these promises, and she'll give you all these